Maisa, tonight we're going to discuss a number of important shilas that come up with dealing with Heitzah carrying on Shabbos. Let's take a look at the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, Sif Lamed Hey. Hayoytzi v'talis kupelis. Remember that the one of the tadim of when one is allowed to go out with something on Shabbos is when it's a lavush, a garment. But even when someone wears a lavush, he has to make sure he's wearing it derech lavisha, the normal way to wear that lavush. If you're wearing a lavush but you're not wearing it the normal way to wear the garment, then it's a problem. And you can not only is a problem, you can be chayiv chatas. Hayoytzi v'talis hamukupelis. He folded up talis, umanachas al kseifav, and he put it on his shoulders. After he put it on his head, he picked up the edges and he put them and he folded them over on top of his shoulders. So he folded it over. Whether he picked up the whole entire length of the talis and folded over, or just the edges and he let the middle hang. This is the second way. He put one corner on one shoulder, one corner on the other shoulder. Then and the middle part, it was hanging down lower than his shoulders. Still all these chayiv. Shein the derech malbush el masu. It's taka lavush, a talis is a lavush. However, this style of wearing a talis folded over is not the normal way to wear it. That's not derech malbush. So it's not enough it's a lavush. It has to be derech malbush. You can carry your shirt in your hand. It's not a heter. You have to wear your shirt.
What if it's cold and you're just using it for...
So if it's derech malbush, then it would be good. But if he's doing it, let's say he's doing it in order it shouldn't get dirty.
Right. So if he's wearing it like a scarf, that's okay?
So in Shulchan Aruch, actually, we'll see soon. That we'll see soon. We'll see soon. The v'yesh poitrin. Not all these dinim necessarily apply today because it depends always on the derech lavisha of that zman. But we're going to learn out from here. We'll see the klolim from here, and then we could bring it down to today to a number of important yanim for today. Yesh poitrin some pater kishemtzoi shuleh mashashelas amatel kseifav. The second case that we mentioned that you're chayav, there are those that want to say that one is exempt from Minat Torah when the middle part of the talis is lower than the shoulders. Meaning, what's the problem over here? Usually a talis extends much lower than your shoulders. If you lift it up back on your shoulders, so you're chayiv. We said that even if you didn't lift up the entire talis, just the corners, and you let the middle hang down lower than your shoulders, still a problem. However, there are those that are pater in that situation. Af bishakin fail on the sunnah kseifa. Even though the corners are on your shoulders, but since the middle is down, they pater. It says Alter Rebbe that halacha is v'chein ikr. The halacha is that the Mechaber and Shulchan Aruch passes like the Rambam, that the main halacha is, in such a case it's mutter, it's pater, aval also midivri saiv mishen nira kemasi. Here we go into Din D'Rabbanan, it seems like it's a masri. Because it looks funny. You're not wearing it 100% in the regular way. What happens? I didn't put the corners on my top of my shoulders. I lifted it up. Someone took in his hands the towel, lifted it up off the ground as he's walking. It's usher. He doesn't want it to rip, to get dirty. It would be a problem.
That would be worse.
But in this case, he didn't put it on his shoulders. Ein kamfer the sunnah kseifav. He didn't put it on his shoulders, so therefore he didn't lift it all the way up. So it still looks like a malbush. He lifted it up a little bit, but he didn't lift it up all the way. That's why he's not chayiv. It's only asur. Because it's near Kimasi. Avom Eini Magbiya Beyadav Elohum Isata Batalisei. You don't you don't touch the talis with your hands. Just the way how you're wearing it, you're misatif betalisa being in a way sheshulel mugbayin harbe min haaretz, that the bottom is very lifted up from the ground. You pulled it up, that it's not going on your back all the way down. V'kam v'shelah einim l'sunak seifav el shesholim al zrei yadav. It's not on your shoulders. It's on your arms. What happened over here? He pulled the corners of the back, he pulled up the corners and tapped over your arms. So now you have your corners, you have really all four corners in front. You have two over here, and then you have one here. But the middle of the talus is still down. The middle of the back of the talus is still behind you. So he says in such it's still covering the majority of your guf, the talus, just that the corners are in front. In such a case, here is a mutter, because it's still mechased roiv gufay. Roiv your guf is on the talus, so we'll say we go rubei kekulei. Roiv of the talus is still in its proper place. Well, if mutter lisate betalis tachas aglim leviviskas, those people want to wear the talus underneath their coat and bring it to shul. B'Shabbos Shachris, Av shebesatis ba be'inish meskatzeres sheniyotzim tachas aglima lamata. Even though when you put it underneath the coat and you're wearing it in a way you don't want it to show out from underneath the coat. Let's say it's going in the street of Goyim, whatever it is, and you lifted up the talus from underneath the coat so it's not seen. So even though it's meskatzeres, but kol shu mechas reiv gufay mutter. So there's a chiluk abayis when it comes to lifting up with your hands. We say even if it's still reiv gufay on your body, but you lift it up with your hands in order it shouldn't get ripped, the bottom of the talus, or it shouldn't get dirty, but you lift it with your hands, it's usher. However, if you not with your hands, just the way you wore it on your body was in a way that the back was not all the way down, as it usually would be when you would daven, it would be all the way down to your feet. But however, it's still covering the majority of your body, it would still be okay. So there's a chilik when it's whether you're doing it b'yadayim, you lift it with your hands, and it's even a little bit of problem. Mashenkin, if it's the way it's sitting on your body, as long as it's reiv gufay, it's okay. So let's take a look at Sif Lamed Vav. You know what? Before we go to Sif Lamed Vav, before we go to the, I want to discuss one shaila that comes up halacha l'maisa. We see over here that when you fold something up and don't wear it the regular way, it's a problem that you're carrying. So
some say you shouldn't roll your sleeves.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the fourth page. The fourth page, you have a tshuva from Moshe that brings down what Rabbi Yosef says. It's actually the Igros Moshe. It's what they published after Moshe Feinstein was nifter. He had Ha'aris notes that he wrote for himself on different semanim and Shulchan Aruch. And over there he has an interesting note on our Sif Chavtes and Mechaber. So Yoytze v'talis mekupelos akseifav ha'dahainu la'acher shenosna al-reishoy Megbiyah Shalal Kseiv Chayev Chatas. That's the lashon we saw in the Alter Rebbe. Also in the Shulchan Aruch says Moshe, comments from Moshe, Pashat Lafin is Daiti. It's Pashat. Shema Shebiyamim Achamim Koiflin HaShavalim is upon people roll up their sleeves. Who Aser Lotzis B'Shus Rabim. Kiven She'ein Zet Tznius Yoiser Mi'ilu Hoya Shavalim Ktzarim. Since it's not any more tznius than if you would have had short sleeves. So Melo, you could wear a short sleeve shirt. So what are you doing? You have extra garment, which you're just folding up.
Yeah, but you're still wearing the original garment. So what? It's folded. You're wearing it though. It's not the same as the talis where you're if you want to talk, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't concentrate like that. Stop. Okay.
That's not true. Let's just first stick to this lumdus. Okay. By a talis, it's completely off of you. So you're not wearing it. So you want to say that in order to ensure that you're wearing your talis, you have to keep it on you and not roll it up. But at least it's but that's something that's motive. Here, there's something you're actually it's a malbush that you have. So if you roll up your sleeves, you're doing nothing to alter the beggar from not carrying because you're wearing it. It's not the same as a talis where if you're makufal the talis. Let him first answer what I said, and then you'll say something.
So
just
that's I took a stop here, but the emes says that this is what a Moshe held. Other poskim were matir, and they were matir based on some of it's based on sif lamed vav. Let's take a look at the next sif. Also litin kamfi shula back to the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, the first page. Sif lamed vav. Also litin kamfi shula afila kseifav. El kishmiskaven lagbia talis. We're going to see two heterim in the sif. They didn't answer. When did Chazal answer putting the corners of the talis? We're talking about a case where you took the back corners and you folded them up over here. You put them back over here in the shoulders.
Because you didn't want it to get luch,
yeah,
right?
The bottom shouldn't get dirty or rip. Or it shouldn't disturb you from walking quickly. You want to run quickly. You don't want the talis over there. I will aim kavanasili snois baze. If your point why you're doing is because that's the style that people do it in that area, that neighborhood, that's how they like to wear it, it's the cool style, then we can't say that you do anything wrong because that's derech levisha. Remember, you have a malbush, you need to do derech levisha. Derech levisha doesn't look like a masi.
If you don't have the kanofim on your shoulders, you walk around with it like this, you're actually carrying it on your hands.
Well,
why don't you? No, you're doing the regular fulham. You do the regular folding.
No, but that's what we're talking about. He put
no, he's talking about where you took the bottom knofin. You picture a regular talis, one side folded over.
But
when you did the bottom,
then it's not considered a talis anymore. It's not considered a
the emes was the way they used.
It depends how much you.
They used to not wear the talis those days. By the way, they used to not wear it the way we wear it. They used to wear it with,
like the Hasidim do?
Yeah, like a shawl. Yeah.
But
what they used to do is they used to take, we're talking about a case where someone took the back talis and brought it back on the shoulders. Because he didn't want it to get dirty or get ripped or he wanted to run. So if your kavana is two things. You have to remember, we said there's a chiv midaraisa, chiv midarabanan. If the entire talis, you picked up the entire length of the talis, and you picked it up on your shoulders, you're chayiv chatas. There's no aterim for that. Right. However, if you just picked up the corners and you put it on your shoulders, but you let the middle hang down, so it's still hanging in the back, so it still covers your roiv gufay. Then we said it's also midrabanan because it seems like a masli, near a masli. It's not an actual masli; it's near a masli. In Sif Lamavav, the Alter Rebbe is clarifying that when did Chazal put their isser in this second case, when the corners are on the shoulders but the middle of the talis is still hanging down, only in a case where your kavana was in order to. Because you didn't want to ruin the talis, you didn't want it to rip. But if your kavana was to wear it because they have hana to wear it that way, because that's a derech to wear it that way in certain places, and it's like, it looks good, it looks nicer that way, it's not because you don't want it to get dirty, but it looks nicer, and that's a beged. And Chazal didn't answer because it's not near a kemasi. It's not near a kemasi, there's no isser of Chazal. If it's lisnois. Vein sarach loime shemut lekapel ksaves shuli talisim mekan mekan al yodav delis nois. Bevachim soy shulam shal zamat mikseifav mechasarev gufay. You can also pull the entire talis in front of you, on your arms, as long as the back is there, then there's no problem. So, step one, some people wanted the taina. That there are some people that like how they look when they have rolled up sleeves. It's a style to roll up your sleeves. But let's say most people, it's not something a style. So what's going to be the heter for them? Rabbi Yisha says it's a problem.
But it is the style when it's hot.
Oh, in a chanami. Someone a taina that maybe that's derech levisha. The derech levisha when it's hot.
Exactly. It's like a hat, right? Sometimes you wear your hat like this. Sometimes you wear it back. Sometimes it's sunny. You want to use it as a visor. Sometimes it's windy. You need to pull it down. Sometimes it's rainy. You want to protect it. There's all kinds of ways to wear a hat. There's a lot of ways to wear a shirt. And there's also a lot of ways to wear talis. It's one way. You see in all different shuls, people wear the talis differently. Everywhere.
Right. But over here, it's extra. Here we're trying to say that you have an extra piece of cloth on you. Here we're going to say, like, he wanted to point to say that. But
yeah,
the
but
more...
still, even if that's true, as long as you're not taking it out of the sheer of talis, you know, like the Lubavitchers, because the Rebbe didn't have the black, so Lubavitchers fold up the talis, and then sometimes people tell you that you don't have a shear in the back because there has to be a shear for it to be talis.
Yeah.
Even if you're makufal the talis, and it's still a shear of a talis, so a talis is a baguette. What's the difference if I'm wearing the baguette makufal? It's still a baguette. You're saying, but it's not derech levisha, but it is derech levisha because this is how I want to wear it now. This is a multi-folded type of baguette that can be wear on.
Talking about the roiv of the...
Einochinami.
No, it's not the roiv. Everyone...
Einochinami. This is what some of the Paiskim want to taina. Some of the Paiskim want to taina that this is a derech levisha. This happens, a lot of people do it this way. So this is a normative way of wearing it. It's like what we're saying over here, that there's minigan shemakim. Minigan shemakim is derech levisha. There's another nakuda, even if we're not clear at that point. But look at the Hemshech Hasif. The Alter Rebbe says, this whole discussion that we have here, you're not allowed to pick up the talis. In the street, you walk in the street, you're not allowed to pick up your talis because you're afraid it's going to get dirty. It's a puddle, so you're not allowed to pick it up. That's a problem only about talis, where your hands are not, there's no sleeves. The kols of a talis, fourth line from the bottom. That's a talis that's one square piece. Like the talis that we wear for the mitzvah by davening. You know, a talis, when it comes to chazal, doesn't only mean like mamash a talis mitzvah. It can mean talis means like a shawl, like they would wear. But like our talis yishal mitzvah shalanu. Shein behem nekavim, there's no holes, lo heitzi yidayim etoichem. Al bushim shalanu, shalavish behem. You're wearing it. Umayitzis yidayim etoichem. You stick your hands in, motor litvis biyadayim mixes al malbush. You're allowed to pick up with your hands a little bit of the malbush. Afilu b'shulav, even on the bottom, like biyash li'akvu melachas, in order it shouldn't disturb you from walking. Or it shouldn't get dirty. Like also folding up your pants is a similar problem, right? Avaloyak be a harbe. You shouldn't pick it up a lot. Kol oirich shula bin shlei roiv gufim mechusa. We're talking these kids. They were wearing like these long robes. You know, they used to wear. The hands went through, but it was one piece all the way down. It was one piece.
It was a poncho.
The Arabs wear, right, all the way down.
Even the Sfaradim, the Chachamim still.
Right. Yeah, you see the Rabbi Rashi and the Rabbana. Yeah.
Except that's only when they're doing their public functions. Like you
Keep
see
the
that
tradition.
Chacham Avad used to wear black hat, like a Rosh Hamburg and
yeah, they only did it when they did formal events. Lamaisa, what's the chiluk? This comes from the Magen Avraham. The Avraham says is a chiluk. The Mechaber and Shulchan Aruch was only talking. Mara was only Chazal only talking about when you have talis. Then you pick it up. That's not. Then you know the talis is not really on you completely. When you're picking it up, you're picking it off of you. Mashenking something which you actually wear. It's actually on your body. Your hands go through the sleeves. There's not a big problem even with your hands. Not only if it's folded up on your shirt you're walking, with your hands you hold it as you're walking. For example, the gartel is too low, and you pick it up. The gartel already you don't put your sleeves through, but l'chora would be the same concept.
What about a belt?
I'm not sure, but I would think, you have people in the streets sometimes they walk and they take their gartel and they're like swinging it. They're just playing with it, you know. Mm-hmm. So I always did think it's a problem, but now I'm not so sure it's a problem. It looks over here.
Well, anyway,
you're wearing loivish shit and you pick it up a little bit. I don't know.
Exactly.
It's not removing it from the stat mashenk. When it comes to talus, it's different.
It's going to stay on you
But
regardless.
the only thing I'm not
Exactly.
clear is because over here, it's not talking about the case of a garter. It's talking about where you're wearing something all the way down and you're picking it up a little bit. And the Alter Rebbe says over here, because roiv gufay, as long as majority of the guf is still mechusa, then you can take the miut, part of it you can pick up.
Oh,
Like the hem.
Yeah?
Oh,
What is
so
You
it?
can
that's
hold
like-
up the hem.
Is that a chalab, or they call it chalab, I think?
Halak.
Yeah.
Chalat.
so one second. So like he's saying, like David is saying, you're wearing it anyway. It's just like a tassel. In other words, to have a little bit of the gartel on each side over, that's part of the style.
Right, but can
Because-
I pick it
because-
up and carry it?
Yeah, because it's like a tassel. If you have a tassel at the end of your talus, so this is just for noi.
So you're allowed to wear
So
it.
you're not
Are you
carrying
allowed to pick
You're not carrying it.
Right, but I'm not allowed to
Because
take my
buckled-
hand.
It's buckled to the talus.
Good, but now when I take it, that piece itself, when I start moving
It's
it.
still buckled. It's like it doesn't have its own mitzias because it's buckled to the rest of the
Good,
bag.
but we don't say that by talus, the Mashal. Why don't we say by talus is
Because it's
buckled?
all one. You can't.
Well, you can wear
This
a towel.
this is buckled to this, but this is that's the thing that we're talking about.
Yeah,
If
but
I-
even
if I'm
when
wearing-
you have the one robe
I
that
mean,
goes
Abazor,
over,
you can't go like this, right? If you're wearing a scarf, you should be able to go like this.
you should be able to?
Should not,
I wouldn't think you should. Yeah, you can't.
because you're not used to
Because roiv of it's not mechusa.
right. So maybe that's the maybe
Doesn't
that's,
I'm not I can't say 100%, but I would think it wouldn't be a problem. I'm not 100% sure because it's not clear. Mamish talking about that case. I'm uncomfortable with saying clear, but one thing, what the Debretziner, the Moshe Stern, the Debretziner Rav was a Rav of Bar Park, a big Paisik. Debretziner said that he felt about a Moshe. He didn't write who it was. He said he heard the name of a Gadol Echad that wanted to aser
rolling up your sleeves.
rolling up his sleeves. This wasn't printed yet, but it was probably where Moshe maybe about orally had said it.
No, his yeshiva, he did say.
Oh yeah.
He did hold you, not allowed to roll up his sleeve.
Okay.
Is it in Mamash and the Igros Maisha or in the Shabbos the Chuvas that?
Yeah. It's the information. The last Chalik. But it wasn't published till after he was nifter. Well, the Maisa, listen, you have machlokes and he held that way, other Rabbanan held differently. Most of our Rabbanan did not hold what he said. Most of our Rabbanan held mutter for different reasons. They held either Esterich Levisha, or they held, like we've said over here, that hayois that you put your hands through it, so it's malbushim shalana, our type of malbushim. So the Shulchan Aruch clearly says that a little bit you're allowed to lift up. So I'm allowed to lift up part of the shirt. And another thing is, it's bottle. We have a concept in we have a concept of bittul.
With the gloves.
Yeah, the concept of bittul is when it comes. We didn't discuss it in the shiurim really. We didn't really discuss it. And it's not so easy this subject, but there is when you have something's a lavush, it's mutter to carry. There's another heter. Something's not a lavush. It's beferish, not a lavush. But if it's attached to the lavush, and it's secondary and it has no
Like the
chivas to the
gloves,
lavush,
like the gloves.
come bottle.
Then we said if the gloves were mittens that were attached,
Yeah.
you would be allowed to wear them.
Yeah. But the gloves are different because the gloves itself, in and of itself, it's a malbush because it's a malbush for the hands. Shy of the gloves,
Yeah,
or
but
the
you have to wear
rabbanon
them,
might fall off.
But you can walk with them and not on your hands, right?
Put them in your
So
pocket.
that's the shayla.
No. We're saying, remember
Yeah.
we said if you have these gloves that are attached to your jacket, but you don't want to wear them, you can wear it. You could go out with it because it's part of the bag.
Some say.
So this is even better. This is much better because when you roll up your sleeve,
Yeah.
sof you're still wearing the sleeve. In other words,
Right.
it's still a lavush. Look, just like you're allowed to wear a winter coat in the summer on Shabbos, right? You would be allowed to go out in a winter coat, even though you don't need it for a lavush.
The thing is, even if something's
So why is this different?
attached to you, it has to still be bottled. But this part of the shirt is bottled to the rest of the shirt. You know, someone can't attach a chair to himself and say it's attached. It has to be bottled to the item that's attached to. It's a chshivas of this is bottled to this, and you could say it's bottled. Let's say there used to be a handkerchief. What they used to do is they wanted to have a handkerchief. So they used to attach the handkerchief to the shirt. So it's like, but they wouldn't attach it to the belt. They said a handkerchief, when it comes to the shirt, it's bottled to the shirt, becomes nullified to the shirt. When it comes secondary to the shirt, when it comes to the belt, the chshivas of the belt and the chshivas of the handkerchief, it's not enough bottled to say that this is bottled to that. It has to be it's something bottled to the. So in this case, even if we're going to tie in, it's not derech levisha. Beferish not derech levisha, and we're going to agree with Ramosha, but still with his logic, but still no. Why shouldn't it be mutam mitzat bittul? So it's not derech levisha, but it's bottled to the rest of the beged.
Right.
There's a big large beged, and a part of it A part of it's not being worn right. Say that, but it's derech levisha.
But even if you want to say it's not, even if it's not botel, you say, oh, right, derech levisha, exactly.
Right? You could go levisha. You could say if it's not levisha, it's still it's bottle to the beged. Many svaras that you could throw in to say why it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, like so. What does he write there in the truth? What does he say? What's the svara?
Now that we went the other way, we don't understand what Ramesh is saying.
No, but he has to have said something. No, is there a lot?
Listen, he did bring up some type of thinking, and he brought to try to compare it to talis. He tried to compare it to talis, which you fold over and you're not allowed to carry it. Yichayev. So he felt similar. This is similar. Mais and other poskim felt that this is not similar. You can't compare this case. You know what?
I don't understand why he said. Yeah.
Moshe, by him it was barum is probably that it wasn't anyone who. Maybe by him it wasn't derech levisha. People didn't. If you wanted to wear a short sleeve, you wear a short sleeve. If you want to wear a long sleeve, you want a long sleeve shirt. You don't roll up the sleeves. Now it's common, but was that common in those days that people should just roll up a long sleeve shirt? I don't know.
I remember now also that not only did it...
You were in yeshiva there?
Yeah. He also prohibited, like some people, they take the tzitzit and tuck them into their belt like this.
You didn't like that?
He prohibited that also.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's hard for me to understand because Alter Rebbe says, which everyone holds, it's the Gemara. The Gemara says that anytime you do it leisnois, to look nice like the Anshe Makom, this is the way the Chassidus should do it.
Maybe he meant the talis cotton.
No,
the talis gadol. Okay, you see that Moshe had some type of shittas which are not clear upon how he learned the sugya talis mekupelis. There's only 3 lines over here. It's not a long tshuva, so it's very hard to understand. And Rav Paskim, although everyone else says that they don't see a problem with it.
Maybe in
Kemat, everyone doesn't say it's a problem. Yeah, listen, the tzii has changed, and everyone pasking based on what they saw in their surroundings, and you have to think maybe he would agree today,
They weren't so stylish in Russia.
Maybe attached to people don't do that, So if either you wear short sleeve, you wear long sleeve. You don't do the middle. Okay, so that's Benegeya rolling up sleeves. However, there's other shilas that we have to deal with. Oh, let's read the top of the third page in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Shin Samachay. The page is Shin Samachay. The third line. Umabushim shalanu. Our mabushim, meaning ours that we have sleeves. Shenis atav, you did not put your hands through the sleeves, but you wore them on you.
Like a coat over your shoulders.
You do not take your hands out. Put your hands through the sleeves. Aser litfis ksasam b'yadav. If you would do that, you would not be allowed to lift up the edges of this coat or shirt. The whole heter why we said that mabush of shalani you're allowed to pick up a little bit and lift them up from the ground is only when you put your hands through the sleeves. Though our malbushim that you're wearing regularly. But if you use our malbushim, but you don't use it the regular way, you just wrap yourself in it. You took it and wrapped yourself in it without putting your hands through. We go back to stage 1 where we look at it like a talis, and you would not be able to pick it up even a little bit, like the halacha is by a talis.
Because it's a reminder not to take it off completely and lift it all up.
It's not also midiraisa, it's also midirabanan. Now, because nira kimasi. However, some of the poskim point out from this wording here, halacha, we can medayik to another shaila. We see that some people wear when it's hot out. They're going out. They want to take the jacket somewhere. They're going to daven, whatever it is. They're wearing the jacket, but instead of putting their hands in the sleeves, they put it on their shoulders. Is that mutter or not? So some want to say, look over here in the lashon.
It's a derech malbush.
Malbushim shalanu shenis atif ban. What's bothering the Alter Rebbe over here? If you take our malbushim, which have the sleeves, and you don't put your hands in the sleeves, and you wrap yourself in it, what's the problem? There's no problem with that in and of itself. The problem is if you pick up the edges, the long edges, pick them up, it shouldn't hit the ground, then you're carrying the edges. Midrabanan, nirike masi. It seems like a masi, a burden, a load. But he doesn't discuss that the actual malbush itself, you're not wearing it the normal way. That you're not putting your hands in the sleeves. Alter Rebbe, the poskim are not bothered with that. they're not bothered with that. So someone will be medayik from here that it shouldn't be a problem to put your suit on top of your shoulders without putting your arm through. I'm not sure, Lamaisa, if this is what punked the same situation. It's not mamash. It wasn't our jackets and the same thing, but
it was much more of an ituf when they put it on.
Right. It was much more ituf. It's not like
it was like a
gufa, exactly.
So it also went over the legs.
But
it's possible for it to go over the shoulders, not with the arms, but still to cover the legs.
It was like a talus, so it's not necessarily the same thing like a jacket. Not so let's say, we cut out this raya. However, we could still say, if that's a derech levisha, people do that when it's hot. They do that during the week, and that's a way that some people walk. And it's a derech levisha anyways.
They also walk with their arm jacket over their arms.
So some pasuk want to say like this: it depends where you live. In Europe, in Eretz Yisrael, and in Europe, it's very common. Even the Gedolei Yisrael would walk on like that on Shabbos. It's very hot in Eretz Yisrael, and they would walk like that. They would put the jacket on. That's how they would walk.
Sure.
And in America, it's not as common. You don't really see it as much in America. But again, that all depends. It could be that we have to go on the street and see people do it, and that's derech levisha. You don't have to be. Everyone does it. If it's a normal thing that people do it, you don't look like you're strange, then that's a derech levisha. It happens to be the Debretziner says, the Debretziner, the Ber Moshe Stern writes, he doesn't minadin. It's for sure mutter, but he says it looks strange. It does look strange as someone to wear a suit like that on the street on Shabbos. People don't do it. It looks a little strange. He says hamachmer tavei al bracha. They'll get a bracha, but he doesn't say minadin. It's mutter. And other persons don't mention that at all. They feel, that's a derech levisha. That's a derech levisha.
Are you allowed to wear slippers on Shabbos outside?
Yeah. If your foot
with no back.
Crocs. People wear Crocs.
Yeah, because it has
No, but
because it has this.
If the front,
Why don't you let him answer?
If the front is tight, meaning if the front is not loose. If the front is not loose, Alter Rebbe doesn't bring the Shulchan Aruch that there's some places that were machmer if there was no back,
right?
Because it slips off. But the Iker Hadin it's much.
So the reason I
as
asked,
long as the front is not all loose,
right?
Truth is, even if the front's a little loose, people the pasuk want to say also that what's the chash? What's the chash? They say, what's the whole shash? The real shash is like
come
this.
off.
Shash will come off, you might come to carry it. So two heterim want to say. First of all, your foot slips into it, so why should it fall off? If it's a real like flip-flop shoe or something that, these slippers are not meant to fall off. If it's something that's falling off constantly, then an ichanami. You have some that shash would exist. But the slippers don't fall off. Yes, the back might be not on, and it goes up and down the back. Those are called flip-flops. But the front is on and it stays on. Now, if you're walking regularly,
flip-flops stay on much better.
Now, another thing is, some say, even if, let's say, it would fall off, the Taz has a certain heta. The Taz says a certain lavush that you would be embarrassed to walk around the street without it. We don't choishish that you would pick it up and even inadvertently walk within the street carrying it because you never walk without it. So you don't walk without shoes in the streets. You don't walk without slippers or shoes. You don't walk with slippers usually in the street, but you don't walk without shoes. So if your shoe fell off, you're not going to carry it. You're going to stop right then and there and put it back on. So it's basically virtually no chash of someone carrying a shoe because people are going to laugh at a guy walking without shoes in the street.
Right.
So you're silly. So therefore the poskim want to be lenient with slippers.
So the reason I'm asking is because that's the same thing with this. It's a very similar thing to the jacket over your shoulders. In other words, does it ever fall off?
The jacket is a different thing. The jacket first, yeah. So again, you're not going to walk without your jacket.
Right. And you're not. What's going to happen if it falls off? You're going to start. You'll put over your arm. I mean, if it's very windy, then I could see it maybe being a problem because you would then not be able to. You wouldn't be able to walk with it unless you buttoned it.
If
it's very windy, but if it's
windy,
not windy,
then ain't a chanami. Maybe we shouldn't do it if it's windy, and But by the way, we're b'chalal dealing with. You brought up the shaila of the gzeira that maybe will fall if you come to carry it. But we're dealing with b'chalal if it's a lavush. We have to first at stage one if it's b'chalal medaraisa mutter. Once we're matim medaraisa, we have to figure out the shastra.
It's not. A lot of times you see women. They ask. They're cold. And they ask for their husbands to put on their thing. They don't put their arms and they put it around their shoulders. It's mamash lavush.
Right.
Like
Ain't a chanami. Ain't a chanami.
Shawl, like a shawl. Almost
Eina chanami.
Yeah.
The poskim basically are matter. It's not.
Well, there are a lot of people who wear their prayer shawls at the Shabbos. We see them.
Now, another issue I want to address.
Those aren't even. That's a show if you can even wear it.
That's what they call a talus in English, an imprecise translation.
Sure, right, exactly.
Let's
call a shul a temple.
Let's take a look at Sif Lamed Zayin now, the final Sif. The Mekaymish Shenagul Kapal Atalis. Main thing we want to learn the second half of. We'll learn the first half also. L'shleima say again. Mekaymish Shenagul Kapal Atalis. Those places that have the minig. Minig we mean over here not like a halacha minig. We mean just people. That's what how people wear their clothing. Shenagul Kapal Atalis. They fold the talis, the cloak. Lanicha kach mukapelas al kispeim saviv tzavarim. They wrap it around their neck. They wrap it around their neck.
What's called in Russian?
They do this even when they're home. They would do that. That's their style, how they wear these begadim. Mutarim lotzes came b'Shabbos afresh esuram shederech malbush ulahem. This is the derech malbush for them. Avalein hoilchen came b'teim. If it's not the way they go in their house, and now when you want to go out, only when you want to go to shul, this is the way they're going to wear. Underneath the coat, you're wrapping around the talis on your shoulders. Because you don't. This is not your derech levisha. You're just trying to get it to shul. But in your house, you wouldn't wear it that way. So if in your house you wouldn't wear it that way, that means it's not a derech levisha. That's considered talis mekupeles. Talis mekupeles, a folded over talis, is awesome.
I just left my house.
You're not stretching it out, you have it folded over your neck.
A few weeks ago, I left my house with my towels around my neck, but I was freezing. It was when it was like minus. So I held it like this until I got to shul. And I'm looking far. Yeah. I used it as a scarf.
For sure. You don't even need to use it. The towel is on you, it's good.
It's fine.
Yeah. Kol makim, even though this is also, but motel kapel tzadi yimin. When you make the bracha on the talis, you take the right side and you throw it over your left shoulder, right? So you're allowed to go out like that. That's the way you wear it. That's the way the Arabs wear it. Derech Yishmaelim. You actually see that the from Arabs, they wear it to the right over left, not the left over the right. They take the right side of their shawls. You'll see them when they're walking around. And they throw it over left, the Kederech Ishmaelim. That's the reason why it says in Shulchan Aruch why we should do it that way when you put on the talis, because that's that Tifas Ishmaelim.
It was always a pellet to me because that's how they did it then. If we're going according to the Minig HaMokum, so that was 1,000 years ago. We don't do it anymore like that.
Now that's the Hitzah. L'gabi Hitzah, we have to know the Minig HaMokum. L'gabi those dinim over there, we had a discussion. I don't recall, but when we learned Chasitzis.
Why would we emulate them? Who cares what they do?
It has to do with these talesim that when we're wearing these long talesim, we're wearing it like in an old style. Then the shaila is, how is the style that you're supposed to wear these talesim? How is this garment supposed to be worn? So at least b'shas the bracha, we should wear it that way. That's a b'shas the bracha. We make the bracha that way. We wait 4 amas. The time it takes to warm 4 amas, we wear it for a minute. Wear it like that. Make a tifah shmeil at least b'shas. Afterwards, you take it off and we wear it like how we want to wear it.
Never understood that.
Lamaisa. Okay, the second half of the sif is very important because it's going to have important relevance to how someone could take a towel to the mikveh. And there's different machlokes about it. How on Shabbos one can take a towel somewhere and transport it. So let's take a look. They were not talking about towels in this case. Someone takes as a sheet and it's wrapped up and it's put on his shoulders. Since that's the way they used to wear this sudar, it's mutter. You don't have to tie one of the threads to your finger in order to they shouldn't fall off to hold it back and fall off. And these kanshis, where the minig is not to take a sheet and wrap it around wrap it around your shoulders. In right so that someone wants to carry out this type of sheet, let's backtrack a second. We know this derech levi. If someone has a malbush, he wears a derech levisha, it's mutter. What happens if someone wants to wear something which is not a malbush? It's not a malbush. People don't wear it. People don't wear it. A sack. He wants to wear it. So how should he wear it? There is no method of wearing it. Now, halacha is if you put you wrap majority of your body in it and your head, then even if that item is not essentially a malbush, it can get the status of a malbush.
Like the Torah character with a sack, potato sack.
But it won't help for like a box or something or a mat. It has to be something which is wrappable. Something which is wrappable. Then you wrap it roiv gufay, roiv sheverubai, then I can carry it. So this sudder, even in places where don't wear it, but if you want to carry it and bring it somewhere, like a towel, let's say, you want to carry a towel to the mikveh. No one wears towels. So what should he do? So the chas is by roiv sheverubai derech malbush gomer. You should wrap it around yourself. Let's finish the sif.
It's not like the people wear it around the neck. You mean?
We'll see in a minute. We got to finish. There's a lot to discuss over here. If the sheet is not wide enough to wrap your head and your majority of your body, like some of these towels are, they're not wide enough. So then, they're not large enough. You have another option. Yesh like takana, this is what the Rambam says. Yesh takana, la soisik min avnit. Create it into a gartel, a belt. Take it and wrap it around your body, your waist, and tie it. V'latzes by then she yiksher beis rasha sudash v'lfana zeh bazeh kenegdoi lamatim iksefav, and that will be good. That will be considered like a gartel.
Why can't you consider?
So I have two options so far. Two options. One is wear like a malbush gomer roishiv rupai around you. If it's not large enough to wrap yourself around roishiv rupai, then you can wear it like an avnit. Okay, let's finish up the next three lines, then we'll discuss. V'yesh misha oimer. There are some that say she'af mekoyim shederech v'shas masudim akupus veim. Even those mekoyim that we mentioned earlier on the sif, there were locations that they did wear this type of sheet wrapped around on their shoulders. It was a derech levisha. But even those places where it's derech levisha, the sudar has to be large enough that you could wrap it around the majority of your body, even though you're not going to. Sorry, she has sudar rachav v'chasis reishibai im yafshitu mikipuli. If you will open up its folds, you will be able to wrap around Shirubai. This is in a makim where it's derech levishas. V'im eini rachav kokach ein shei malbush. You can't call it a malbush. It's too small for it to be called a malbush. Unless you put it around like a gartel.
So you can't
wear we should, those places that is derech levisha to wear it, you should be choishish for the words.
Then you can't wear a scarf.
So they did not have scarves those days in our type of scarves. Now this is derech levisha. It's a derech levisha like your hat, like everything else on you.
Oh, so towels just like that.
So a lot of these dinim are relative dinim. We learn out from Chazal. These become the ovis where we look into them and we learn how to compare it to today. But Lamaisa, the derech levisha changed. Derech levisha changed. So some of these things will apply today, some won't apply today. So Lamaisa, how are we going to get the towel to the mikveh? Let's discuss the towel. Pashas, if you learn Shulchan Aruch, will say you have to take the towel and either you have two choices. Either roish sheverubai, wrap yourself majority of your body and your head in it. But if it's not large enough to do that, make it like a gartel. You have some Rabbanim that want to say it, but they're a minority. A minority of Rabbanim that want to take a literal reading of the Shulchan Aruch. One of them is Avibar 11 from the Rebbe's library, a big Talmud Chacham, and that's what he holds. This is how you have to take a towel to the mikveh. Since the towel is not large enough, most towels are not that large enough to wrap yourself around that way. So therefore, Good question. Therefore, you should wear them like a garter. Wear them like a belt.
It's not a
Wear them like a belt.
Small people can
So
wear
this is
it.
what he says, and some other people want to taina, that you wear it around like a belt, and that's how you should go. Not around your neck.
Okay.
Not around your neck. You have to wear it around your waist.
Can we have one?
Now, the Gabi Shaila about tzitzis, all the poskim that do with the Shaila are bothered with the Shaila. What about tzitzis? 4-corner beged. So, kol meaning different
It's not a
terutzim.
shear.
Sure, it's a shear. It's a big,
Towel?
it's a big 4-corner beged. If you have one, it's Reish Rubai. The Reish Rubai.
No
the
one
one.
makes a beggar out of a towel.
If it's amal amma, you have a problem already.
Listen.
Lashal. Our tzitzis are amal amma. Mufanav amal amma machrav. If it's 2 amas by 1, you have a problem already.
A lot of people over here will have trouble wearing
Now,
a
to that,
regular
even people
towel.
should bruise it, even
Can
one arm and one
can we
arm.
get one skinny
Sheer
person
towel,
to
it's
wear
minimum.
all our towels?
There's a lot of different terutzim about it. Listen, some say you're wearing it on Shabbos. The Shabbos you can't put on tzitzis. So it's called many terutzim. These begadim are not normally worn this way. You go after the majority of the usage. You use it as a towel, not as a garment. We don't care about the minority. Every single tshuva that deals with the shaila has a chasitzis ending to it. It's all about the chasitzis shaila. And you say, I'm not learning chasitzis. I didn't really focus on it, you know.
So if you don't wear it as a garment, you can't wear it on Shabbat.
What?
If you're not wearing it as a garment, you can't wear it on Shabbat at all.
Listen, Reb Michal,
Majority of the usage,
look
yeah.
at me and look at other people over here, and to wear a medium-sized towel would be impossible to use it as
Ah,
a goggle.
ah.
So can we have one skinny person wearing all our towels? It'll keep him warm.
No, you can't. Oh, good question. You can't put more than one belt. You're not allowed to wear more than one belt or gartel on each beged. Chazal say every beged in your body, every garment that you wear is allowed to have one belt. Pants have one belt. Your shirt can have one belt. You know, people that want to put on their tzitzis, they put a little tzitzis bundle, what they call, or gartel on the tzitzis. Every garment is allowed to have a belt, one belt. The derech is not to have 2 belts on it. So you're wearing 2 belts, what are you doing? You're doing something abnormal. You have to do like the derech. When it comes to clothing, Chazal say, you're allowed to wear 3 shirts, 4 shirts, because people are cold. If you were cold, that's what you would do. You could wear a few coats. When it comes, could wear 2 pants. When it comes to levushim, when it comes to chaguros, when it comes to belts, chaguros and gartlach, on every beged, you're only allowed to wear 1 gartel. So, l'mashal, someone's wearing a gartel on his kapata or his jacket. He's not allowed to wear the belt that he uses, the elastic he uses for his keys. He's not allowed to put it on the same jacket, same kapata. It has to be a different beged, because he's not allowed to have 2 chaguros on 1 beged. That's something to be careful about. It can't be on your pants. It has to be sitting on your shirt.
What if you turn
The emphasis, the shirt itself is not the best. It should really be on the tzitzis. That's the whole thing. That's what I'm talking about. Tzitzis bundle. It's not allowed to be. It's a belt. You're not allowed to have 2 belts.
The bundle is to hold the tzitzis in place, and the belt is to hold.
Tzitzis is fine. It's on the tzitzis is fine. Now, so what are we going to do? L'maisa. L'halacha l'maisa. Most poskim do not hold this interpretation. They say like this: true, in the Zman of the Shulchan Aruch, that's the way the halacha was. But why are these people reading the Shulchan Aruch and applying it today? Today is a different world. We have scarves. When you wear scarves, it is a derech levisha to wear scarves. So now it's the opposite of what it said in Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says to us, you can't wear something wrapped around your neck. You have to. The only way you can wear it is either around your waist, like a gartel, like a belt, or wrap yourself in it. You can't wrap yourself in it because it's not long enough. So the only choice is to wear like a belt. Say these poskim, punk farker today. Today's the exact opposite. People don't wear these big, huge, bulgy belts. You look like who knows what when you're walking around with this towel in waist. But if you wrap it around your neck, you look like you're wearing a scarf. It's not exactly the material you usually make a scarf from, but if you'd ask a non-Jewish person, you're walking down the street, what are you doing? He would tell you you're wearing a scarf. You look like you're cold. He thinks would better use a different material, maybe a softer material, whatever it is, but he would say you're wearing a scarf. If he saw you from a few feet away, that's the picture that you get. So l'maisa, you're wearing a scarf. So they want to tie the heterim of Shulchan Aruch, and what's also in Shulchan Aruch, what's mut in Shulchan Aruch have to be switched around today. Around the belt, they say if you're in Yerushalayim, you see in Yerushalayim, the Yerushalayim Yidden, some of them wear in Shabbos, Samei Sh'arim, these places, they wear these really big, white, thick shmatas around their waist, like these big, huge gartlach. These big, like...
Today's not shmatas, it matches their kapot.
Yeah, they have this big So you say if that's a mukim, you wear these big thick gartlach. So then you could tie that I wore my towel around, so it looks like a gartel, a belt.
You could roll it around.
Yeah. But in places like in America where no one does that, so it looks abnormal. So you can't call it derech levisha. It's not the style of walking. So therefore, the poskim say that you should do what the Shulchan Aruch says is aser, to wear around your neck. Shulchan Aruch says aser. They said that's normal today because people wear scarves. So wrap it around your neck, and you could go out to the mikvah.
But actually,
now can three kashas.
Sometimes when you don't have a gartel, you use your scarf as a gartel.
Listen, but here we're not talking about baggage for the gartel after tefillah, belt, a gartel, you know.
But the Lubavitchers will use anything.
If it's thin,
Even a telephone cord.
Listen, if it's a thin, yes, in a Hanami, a scarf first of all is much thinner than a towel. Again, if it's thin and it can look like a gartel and a belt,
But you can make you can fold it a little
if
bit.
you have a very thin towel, good. But a lot of these towels are bulgy, and then they don't look. Yeah, in a Hanami, if you had a thin towel, one of these mikvah towels it's already 50 years old, then maybe you're right, you know. Shiloh's makabel tumah. So
let's say for summer, scarf is not normal.
Very good kasha. So here we're going to get the three kashas that all the Rabbanim are dealing with all the poskim, all the shilos and shuvas are dealing with when it comes to wearing the scarf around the neck, three questions. Number one, we'll ask Rabbi Yitzchak's kasha, what about during the summer? During the winter, that's normal to wear a scarf. During the summer, no one wears a scarf. So it's a machloikis. Some want to tie in a chanami. This is a problem.
But you said
I think
a
the
winter coat.
Debret Sinner, if I'm not mistaken, the Ber Moshe, the Debret Sinner wants to say it's a problem because in the summer, I'm sorry, the Yisrael Grossman Eretz Yisrael, it says no one goes like that in the summer. It's also the Sahi Erik gehalten zu us, so no one goes this way. You know this psak.
Elpazid.
The Maisa, he was at a Yeshiva in Lud, in Lubavitch Yeshiva Lud, and other poskim holds a problem. However, a lot of other poskim say no. Even if you don't wear it in the summer, since you wear it in the winter, it's enough to make it a lavush for a whole year long.
Yeah.
They have a few rayas for it. One of the rayas is that the Gemara Taka talks about wearing a wrapped up sudar, wrapped up sheet by your neck. There was people that run in the marathon. They wear something. They wear like a lavush. They haratzanin. They explain it means those that run, the runners. So since they wear it, even when people aren't running, you're allowed to wear it. It becomes a lavush. Another more important raya, it says the shepherds, they would wear during the rain, when it was raining and they were pasturing the sheep, they would wear these sacks, that the cloths that no one would wear. Sakin. These sakin that no one would wear. So the Gemara says that since the time of the rain, they would wear it a whole year long. If someone would wear it, you would not go out with it. They only wear it when it rains. They only wear it when it rains, but that creates it as a lavush. It's enough that they went around it in a certain time that it makes it a lavush for all zmanim. So the same thing is, even though in the summer you don't wear it, and it looks funny, but since part of the year it's normal, it's a lavush, it could make it lavush for the whole year. That's the majority opinion, although there are some poskim that don't feel that way. And another thing to add to it is that even in the summertime, you see some people do wear, there are people that are always cold, or they have a cold or whatever it is, and there's always these people in every shul. You have one of those people that wears always a scarf in the summertime, So there's people out there that go that way. So in the ending of the day, if we're going to ask someone, what are you doing? He's going to say you're wearing a scarf. Now, maybe he doesn't think you should be wearing a scarf, but what does he think you're doing? He thinks you're wearing a scarf. He looks at it as a lavush. You're wearing a scarf.
There's another reason. Sometimes, look at a coat, right? You have a Sanim that wear coats to cover their kittel. So he patters everybody from walking out with a coat.
If he walks on the kittel, then you're allowed to walk on the kittel.
Yeah, Mibal, the Chosin wears a coat, a winter coat in the summer to cover it, or to cover his kittel.
I don't know. Okay, maybe. I don't know if it's levisha, mamish, just for the chuppah to think about it. You know that the Rebbe.
Well, let's say someone's pants ripped and he doesn't.
The Rebbe used to wear. This is just derech hagav. There was a hakpada by big tzaddikim, Kabbalim, that when you don't wear silk, Shabbos you're supposed to wear silk. This says in Kabbalah, Shabbos is a time when you're supposed to wear silk. It's different Kabbalistic reasons. Also brought in Chassidus that Shabbos you're supposed to wear silk. That's why Chassidim always wear silk on Shabbos. Even if they wear a kapata during the week, they wear wool. Shabbos they wear silk.
Where does it say anything like that in the silk?
I'll show you after this year.
I know one thing. I know that the Arizal says that you wear white. And it's a really bad scene if you wear black.
Yeah, so that changed. Different Mukabbalim. The original Mukabbalim, even the Chabad, they wore the first Rebbeim all wore white clothing. Yeah, it's based on the scarf. So Lamaisa, it brought in Kabbalah, and that's why all the tzaddikim all wear silk. However, there is another thing which I'm not clear the exact sources of this. This is what the Olam says. You're not supposed to wear this. Most people don't keep this. This is only for the big tzaddikim, that they don't wear the silk in the street without wearing something on top of it. They don't wear zaydins. They don't wear silk without having something on top. You don't wear silk in public, on the street. You have to cover it with something else. So the Rebbe was very, very makbid on this. This came from the Frierdiker Rebbe, already told the Rebbe to be makbid. And no matter how hot it was, in the most hot summer days, the Rebbe wore his wool winter coat over his kapata. That's how he walked in the street. The Rebbe walked with his winter coat during the whole entire, every Shabbos. Every single Shabbos of the year, he wore a winter coat. He wore his wool winter coat, and he put it on top of the kapata. That's how he walked.
Why didn't they give him
He didn't want a
thin raincoat?
It wasn't always so easy to tell the Rebbe what to do.
They didn't have the Shana coats 30 years ago.
What are you talking about?
They couldn't get the Rebbe to change his shoes for 16 years.
Right, the ones with the holes.
Yeah, the one day, but somehow they put the new shoes in the place where the old shoes were. We put it on, and the oilam was all with Ash Gadol. The Rebbe changed his shoes that day. For 16 years, he didn't change his shoes. It wasn't, it wasn't to get the Rebbe to care about the Gashmias was not so easy.
What kind of shoes were they? It sounds like they were quite...
I don't want anyone to start copying, so
They're probably a lot better made than the current ones.
Rabbi Hirschbang, Allah Shalom, used to say, he was a yeshiva in Montreal, he used to say that, he would give Musa to the Chassidim, to the Baba, he would say, you guys, you're always trying to copy the Rebbe in dress, but copy I see the Rebbe's learning. You have to copy the Rebbe in learning. He's learning mamish every minute. Lamaise, he was very nispal from the Rebbe's godless and limos. He's saying, it's always easier to copy the
easy things
than to copy the hard things, right? Walk like the Rebbe and talk. So the Maise, there was let's get to two more kashas. There's another question about wearing the towel around the neck. Is, can I wear it together with my scarf? I have my scarf on, and I'm also wearing the towel. So, can I say that I'm wearing two scarves?
Each beggar needs a separate garment.
See, here already, it's not so pashut. It's not so pashut that you can wear two scarves. That looks very mundane. No one does that.
When it's very hot.
You see people wear two scarves?
Absolutely. I myself do.
Okay, if people wear two scarves, then you will be allowed to. But that's already showing a shaila if you can wear two scarves. L'chora, the best thing is to take off your scarf and you wear this as your scarf. Now comes in third shaila. How about taking the towel back home? There's no problem taking it back home. When it comes to dinim of Eitzah, carrying in Shabbos, it doesn't matter your kavanah. Your kavanah is you want to carry this. You don't want to wear the scarf. This towel is a scarf. You don't think it's a scarf. It doesn't make a difference. It's not negay your kavanah when it comes to these dinim. It's negay how it looks. If it looks like it's a lavosh, it's a lavosh, and that's it. You could be boiling hot in it, but we don't care. But the thing is, when you go back, the problem is that it's wet. So no one wears a wet. But our shaila is not your personal discomfort. You can wear a coat in the winter, even though it's discomfort, but you're allowed to. So you can wear it back if it's wet. The problem is, if it's very wet and people see it's wet, then it's not a lavosh. No one says you're wearing a scarf. If a guy is going to see on the street, This is very strange. No one wears wet things around their neck.
Unless when it's raining.
So, okay, if it was rain, if you saw that it was raining.
Was like people do wear wet scarves when
maybe
it's raining.
Maybe God that when he's raining, it wouldn't be a problem to go back.
But you said as long as sometimes it's.
But most of the time it's not that wet. It's a little wet, but you don't look at it. It doesn't look like it's
hard. Unless it's raining hard.
You know, it depends what towel. It doesn't look like it's sapping wet. You know, the Debretzina writes very sharp against it. He said you're not allowed to take it back. He says, "Miza pesi v'shoite should go with a dirty schmutzige handtuch to go walk back with a dirty wet shmata." It's not a lavush. It's not really important whether he feels uncomfortable or not. It's not negay if he's uncomfortable and he feels. That's not negay. It's not negay if he's a shaita either. He could be a shaita too. It's negay on one thing. Does it look like a lavush? Does not look like a lavush. So if it's very wet, then yes, and someone sees it's very wet. It's wet, and that's not the way you wear lavush. If it's raining, you could say it's raining, but therefore when it's a little wet, which that's normally the way it is, it's not a problem. So therefore, most of the bottom hold you could go around with the scarf or any of that. You should just tie it around. It shouldn't fall off. It should be properly the way you normally wear your scarf. However you would wear your scarf, that's the way you should wear the towel.
Oh yeah.
There was someone who wanted always. There was someone who was always capping the Rebbe. Everything he was after. He was capping everything like the Rebbe, and he anyways told the Rebbe got married in Warsaw. And the Rebbe's parents were in Russia. They couldn't leave Russia and Poland. The Russian government didn't let them leave to go to the Rebbe's wedding, so they couldn't go to the children's wedding. So so the Rebbe left. That was the last time the Rebbe saw his father. He never saw his father again. His mother he only saw 25 years later, a very long time later. He got reunited with his mother. And the Rebbe went to the Chassan in Warsaw. So there was a guy where they say a joke. This guy was trying to copy. He said, listen, he called up his parents. He told his parents, listen, everything I do is like the Rebbe. I'm making the wedding. I'm making the Chasana in Varsha in Warsaw. So the parents said, you're crazy. You're making a Warsaw. We're not coming. He said, no problem. Even better. If they don't come, it's even more like the Rebbe's Chasana because the parents didn't come either.